Palm oil prices internationally, they have been on a one-way run-up and definitely impacting the margins of the company. But given that we have already seen a good rally in palm oil prices, do you believe that that should somewhat top out in the recent past, as well as maybe it's the time to look out for some of those HULs and Dabur, Marico, some of these plays right now?
Actually, palm oil prices have not been on a straight run up. In fact, they had a run up at the same time when the import duties were increased, and that created a sort of double whammy for companies. Subsequently, they have only cooled off. But given the extent of impact which was there because of first prices moving up, then the 20 odd percent additional duty, the pass through of the prices will obviously take time. So I think that would have happened to a great extent now. Recent sell-off in FMCG and some consumer stocks was due to some sort of analysis done by some people that because stock markets have fallen, so consumption is going to suffer. I think that's very, very illogical because last 2 years stock markets were moving up. So did that impact consumption positively? Consumption actually was subdued over the last 2 years. So I think it's inflation, it's interest rates, which are the main factors which impact the consumption rather than what is happening in the stock market in the near term. So I think to that extent, the bottoming of the performance has happened. What kind of volume growth will play out, that we need to see, because the recovery cycle is still to accelerate in any meaningful manner.
Sandeep, given that you're all in the market right now, is the largest allocation or recommendation of allocation towards financials at large, both banks and NBFCs and even MFIs?
But I won't say it's largest, but it should be a decent allocation. NBFCs, banks, the larger banks, and the corporate focused NBFCs, etc. I think they should be a decent part of the portfolio along with infrastructure oriented companies. Uh, Auto should do well next year, but then because of this entire tariff thing, we could see the auto stocks remain subdued for till the end of March. But I think next year should be overall good for autos as such.
All right, but Sandeep, also share your take within the metal pack as well, because of late they are doing very good and these stocks are seeing no stopping. So do you believe that is it a time to look at some of these metal plays, and within that any particular stock that is looking good to you?
Globally, metal prices have not moved up as much, but the sentiments have obviously improved because of one, European companies announcing that they'll be spending more on defense, and as such, that obviously requires more of uh, that will require more consumption of commodities. Plus, China also announcing an increase in the fiscal deficit for next year and focusing more on reviving the economy. So I think these are the sentimental factors impacting metals in the near term. So metals could continue to do well, but then there is significant oversupply still in steel. So I think to that extent, uh, the rally could still continue, but I wouldn't say that it should be a trend reversal.
Sandeep, you've gone on record and given us your calls when it comes to both infra as well as banking names. But when it comes to auto, it's largely the two-wheeler segment that you're recommending exposure to. What about the passenger vehicles? I mean, tariffs, of course, is one story, but there's also Tesla's entry into the Indian market. Do you think that's going to have any sort of repercussion for the likes of a Hyundai or even an M&M and Tata Motors?
So the impact could be in the long term if these companies don't innovate and adapt, because the initial presence will be limited. They'll take a long time to build a pan-India uh, network. So in the metros, some people might be inclined to buy those cars, and that also we need to see how the government moves on the entire import duty front, because they have a scheme where you can import 8,000 cars at a lower duty if you say we'll invest 4,000 or 5,000 crores, something like that. But that itself is a time consuming thing. We'll see. But overall, I think I think the market, if the overall market is doing well, it can absorb a company like Tesla coming in because it's not going to dominate uh, to, uh, the entire automobile space, at least for the next few years. So the largest allocation we have is in Mahindra and Mahindra. They continue to do well. I think they'll continue to do well going forward also. And in terms of two-wheelers, I think both Hero MotoCorp and Bajaj Auto are looking cheap. So we have been buying Bajaj Auto, but it's come down. But I think it has significant value at the current prices.